So I don't read the XKCD comic anymore because he said I'm with her on one of them. I was like, nope, never again.
Yeah.
But he had a good joke on that one. He says that they dug too greedily and too deep, and they couldn't get out. That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice short joke.
It was good. Now, he has some funny... Like, it's weird, because there are all these artists that have great stuff, and then it's like, well, it's a shame you want to kill me and everybody I love and everything that I love and leave no trace of it alive. Like, that's
the thing. I don't think they do. Like, I think he honestly does not want to murder all the conservatives. Like, the XKCD guy, probably a real decent... Well, I won't say a real decent dude. There's a pretty good chance he's a sexual degenerate or something like... I'm sure he smokes weed. They all do.
How do I put it? He doesn't.
Everybody
have to,
fucking smokes weed.
He doesn't have to personally do it. He doesn't have to personally want it. But he did a comment about how he did the. Remember when they were calling it freeze peach and be like, oh yeah, you thought you deserved to have your opinion shared, but you have a shitty opinion, so everybody's kicking you out because it's a free market.
I don't remember. Oh wait, yeah, I do remember that. That was just before.
He did a giant comic about that, as being like, if you're an asshole, they're not infringing your rights, they're just showing you the door to their house or something like that.
This is like Jordan Peterson, and one of the reasons I disagreed with Vox over that. They're just following the belief system to a logical conclusion.
But if the belief system,
the belief system does want to kill us, that is absolutely true.
And the thing is like, people don't go for things for intellectual reasons, especially smart people. They go for things because it works to them emotionally, and then they invent reasons for it.
Well, you get attached to something that's not true, and then you don't correct course when you're beating somebody on the street with a pipe.
So, like, the I'm with her stuff and the we always gotta believe women and all of this stuff, it just gets swallowed up and used. And so these people are not going to protest when you're rounded up on this. Like, they may not want to kill you, but they're not going to say anything when they round up the squads. And they're going to write fiction and stories where you get rounded up and you're the bad guy, so that people believe that should be a course, because that's what it is. Like,
that's the main thing. But see, this is what I was complaining about earlier, is the idea that that what you believe matters more than anything else, right? Is not true. Like, there comes... Oh, I don't have my thoughts on this properly laid out, but... Okay, so, like, when Vox Day goes after Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson is effectively advocating for the elimination of the white working class for not pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saying, you shouldn't be able to organize, you fucking white males, because... you don't have a legitimate complaint. You have it so good.
Yeah.
And aside from that, I think the leftist thing is it's white insecurity or whatever, or it's male insecurity, because they have small penises, That's the only reason why anybody would ever complain about working conditions or people subverting their religion. It's because they've got small penises, right? We all know this.
Only
it's
cowards
science.
Complain about us throwing them into mulchers for Soylent Green.
Exactly.
If you object to that, you probably have some kind of psychological condition that's wrong with you, so you definitely need to be drugged and then thrown into the mulcher even faster.
Right. So this is the philosophy that they're running with.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be true that he's advocating for that by the extension of that philosophy, into the modern day and trying to just slow things down a little bit. At the same time, he can be a relatively decent dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what we're getting at here is people are basically too stupid for their own ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even a guy as smart as Peterson, who is maybe he's not really that smart, but he is very creative.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that particular screw loose in the brain that happens to let you wander through all that artistic nonsense that, like I do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what was I getting at?
I might disagree with you here.
People who follow a bad ideology aren't entirely shit, except insofar as they actually acted out. Is what I'm getting at. and then it becomes like actual shit, and then it's when it really becomes a part of them. So like you were saying, it's when they don't stop putting you on the cattle cars that you start thinking, well, okay, yeah, you are actually a shit person now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, there are plenty of opportunities along the way. This was basically the thesis of Solzhenitsyn, which I think I massacred that name, but basically his thesis is that the line between good and evil runs down the heart of every single individual, and you're always making choices. Yeah. You always got to make the choice either to lie, to propagate the lie, or to tell the truth, or to fight back, or whatever. And it would be so easy to stop multitudes of evils if people would just resist early, and if they would support each other in doing it.
Yeah.
There's a great story in I think it's the second volume, where a soldier basically, who's being sent to the gulag with a bunch of other people, single-handedly disarms all of the soldiers and knocks them out. And then he says, all right, guys, we're getting out of here. We're going back to civilization. We're going to run to Germany or whatever the fuck. And everybody's just sort of standing around staring at him like, I don't know what to do in this situation. Where's somebody tell me what to do. And then they end up just staying there and waiting to be captured again. And then the single soldier gets chased down with dogs and shot. Mm-hmm. And if that's not the absolute state of humanity, I don't know what is. Whew, I'm sweating after that one. I'm actually just sweating because it's 1 billion degrees.
Mm-hmm. So your thing, you're like, well, see.
So basically, the point of beliefs is to, like, provide a domain for behavior where it's like roads, right? Mm-hmm. It's like pipes. It gives you very distinct paths to walk along, as opposed to like having to forge your own trail every time. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you need to follow the road when it's going into the pit with the spikes.
Yeah.
There's a part where you can be like, maybe I'll like drive around it off the road here. Of course, then when you do that, the police come after you or whatever. No, I'm getting off into nonsense. What I'm saying is basically, like, belief systems are not all there is to a person. That's basically the problem there is in the West with, like, and that's a real criticism of Protestantism, is that there's this idea that what you believe matters and what you do doesn't. Mm-hmm. So you can do whatever the fuck you want. That
makes sense.
That's why the Catholics always get on us for works versus faith.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of these people do different things because they believe this stuff, or because it's been sufficiently broadcast that they know that they're going to get in trouble if they don't. Like, there was a webcomic I had to stop reading because it was, like, it started off as kind of the nerdy schmuck that gets hired on at a coffee shop or whatever and just talks about indie rock or whatever. And it was just a slice of life thing. And then as it became more and more current year, the guy made his girlfriend a trans dude. Like, the main character of the story, the guy that's like, well, I'm a doofy guy, but I gotta learn to get my life together and get a girl. He gets set up, and he has like 2 or 3 different bad relationships with women, and then has a good relationship with a man who was actually with a penis. Like, so
I don't think that one's ideology.
Well, the thing is due to this weird shit and the acceptance movements, people are writing it in where any competent white male father is automatically a villain, no matter what your personal beliefs are, or no matter what your relationship with your dad is, right?
Yeah, it's your default villain.
So because of these beliefs and the ideology, you create things that are inherently hostile to the kind of civilization that we would like.
Yeah, people are signal repeaters that way.
So that's what I mean by it's a shame that they hate me and want me to run to destroy me. It may not be a personal thing, but because of their beliefs and because of the creating the art that encourages that thing, it's like, well, I wouldn't kill anybody personally, but here's a bunch of webcomics where we show that Nazis and Trump supporters aren't people. And it's really great dynamic art The story is emotionally compelling. It's a shame that the bad guy is everyone I love.
Yeah, and then there's the sexual component there, which, like I said, I don't think it's ideology that guy put a tranny girlfriend. Like, what's the Mary Sue for a man? Well, at any rate, what I'm getting at is, like, in a real country, he probably would have left that out. Mm-hmm. But
in a different world, the perfect girl would be like Supergirl or something. Some fantastically attractive, really smart blonde lady that was like a Barbie.
What I'm getting at is that dude is projecting his own sexual desires into his comic. Like, there's a very high chance that he's like into that.
You gotta take my word on this, because people are like, there's an explicit thing to be like, you need to write trannies into your stories because that's the only way they get represented. You have to do it even if you don't like it. Like, there's a giant push in webcomic creators and art in general. It's like, we got to get more of these minorities in the basket. So where even when it doesn't make sense, we've got that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, but as his like author stand-in's girlfriend.
I see what you mean there.
That I mean, as in terms of like wish fulfillment,
it can be both.
I'm suspicious.
Either
is
way,
all I'm saying.
Okay.
If the author in the comment in the comic has to wear a wolf suit for his job, I'm starting to think this guy's probably a furry.
I see what you mean.
It's like, okay, I granted, like, furry acceptance is, if it's not already a thing, it's probably going to be a thing.
It's getting bigger.
But that dude is probably a furry.
At least he's not a diaper fur.
Is a diaper what now?
A diaper fur.
What's the fur part of that?
It's a furry that wears diapers.
Oh, okay. That totally makes sense.
That's just...
I know diaper fetishism
is its own thing. It's a big old dog baby.
I know diaper fetishism is its own thing. I didn't realize that there was such an overlap that, like, it had its own thing.
I'm sure there's, like, a giant diaper fur baby thing that likes to inflate their assholes, that it all combines into one ultra fetish. I'm sure that's out there somewhere, but...
And I'll form the head.
Oh, God. Okay. I want to read some of these bios from this libertarianconvention.org thing. So these are people that are headlining the Libertarian Convention, or that are speakers, or they're speakers at this convention.
Send me a link, would you?
Yeah, let me see if I can. I'll have to share this. It's a tweet, because everything is tweets now.
Gay.
Gab did not take over Twitter even a little bit. That's a separate topic.
There was plenty of blame to go around on that one.
That's a separate topic. It doesn't matter whose fault it was. I'm just stating, like, this is the way of the world right now. This is how it works.
All right, first of all, Elron Mexico. That's a good start.
Say again?
The Twitter account, Elron Mexico.
I didn't even think about that. That's a pretty good name. El Ronnie over there. Mexicology.
I like that the logo for Libertarian is that torch. Mm-hmm. Let's go full Prometheus on this.
Yeah, it's a torch with a fire that looks like a bird.
Bring the enlightenment and the knowledge, and the people will thrive.
So this is Kyle Varner, MD. Kyle is CEO of Forever Life Technologies and Solutions. He's currently involved in synthesizing teen blood and has several patents pending. He also built his own submarine. What a guy.
That's... They just say that like that's a normal thing.
Yeah, that's what got me. Vinny Marshall here. Vinny is a vapist crypto trash humanist. He is the founder of Staten Island Sovereignty and owns 5 publicly traded marijuana companies. He is currently working on a book that ranks the Roman emperors according to race and IQ.
Oh, this is such a dumpster fire.
Isn't this great? Tracy Ryan.
I love that he's a vapist, crypto trash humanist. That's
This
that's
next
too
one,
good to be true.
This next one's even better, man. Hold on. This is Tracy Ryan. This is a woman that I respect. A respected woman.
On this podcast, we always respect a woman.
We respect women. You know, violence against women is never good to be discovered. Tracy works at the Koch Institute of Parental Freedom. She wrote the book, 12 Rules for Purchasing My Daughter. She is also employed by several antebellum families as a clairvoyant who tracks down the ghosts of runaway slaves. A clairvoyant that tracks down the ghosts of runaway slaves. If you didn't get that from all the laughter, because this is great. This is who is speaking at the Libertarian Conference. All right.
I think that's like a real side gig.
So, Caleb Q. Dyer, renowned mythbuster, ham radio savant, and advocate for the advancement of feminine robotics. That's sex dolls for you people that can't read euphemisms.
Oh,
Caleb is a thought leader for the libertarian youth community. He seeks to bring about the gilded age of furries with the abolishment of the IRS, and is currently working on a virus that will kill all the bees. This is.
I'm starting to think these are not entirely serious.
This guy might not be the most serious person here, but you know, it's the Libertarian Conference. I think that's pretty.
Even at a Libertarian
here.
Conference,
I
probably
saw
know
one.
Probably know this is like a parody.
I saw a clip of a Libertarian Conference where the guy was like this fat guy getting naked on stage and like jiggling his man boobies. So I don't like. I think it really is mo weed. I think that is libertarianism, man. I think the stereotypes are true. We always
do that. And weed makes people do.
I want to take
things like synthesize teen blood.
I want to take a moment to go back over. Advocate for the advancement of feminine robotics. That is just a title right there. Employed by several antebellum families as a clairvoyant who tracks down the ghosts of runaway slaves. That's just a great side gig for the author of 12 Rules for Purchasing My Daughter. I think synthesizing teen blood is pretty great too.
See, that's one of those things that is probably true, and he's just speaking dysphemism. Like he's doing some sort of medical thing with blood.
Well, so the idea is the literal vampirism, where like teen blood has magical healing properties for old people. So you create some teenage blood, and then you give blood transfusions to old people, and they get rejuvenated with the life juices.
Oh, Lord.
That's scientific. That's science, man.
That's literal vampirism.
Yes.
By the old on the young.
Literal vampirism. And that's the libertarian medical field right now, apparently.
Well, I mean, if you're a libertarian, it actually makes total logical sense, right? Who has the money?
Right.
Baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the blood? Young people.
You know.
Therefore, you meet in the middle.
You just sell a kidney to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, finance your student loans. If the free market, if you can contract to it and voluntarily do a contract, then you should probably be able to sell your organs to harvesters. That's just how it works, man. If only the government, didn't step in and stop us from selling off our 3-year-old daughters to organ harvesters, the world would be a better place. That's what I believe as a libertarian.
This is 100% dildo.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is the thing. Anything that is not explicitly racist asshole right-wingism is leftism right now. Just bar none. Anytime you hear independent, anytime you see independent as a news thing, like the news shop, The Independent, it's leftist. Don't even kid yourself. If you're like, I'm an independent voter, you're leftist, and you just don't want to be radical leftist. There are two genders is Nazi talk right now. So it's.
I don't want to. That puts me in a black pill turn of mind. So.
All right.
Of course, so does the Gilded Age of Furries guy.
What I like, the upside of this is that humanity has survived any number of crazy retarded people, and if anything, this is going to make it easier to expand the churches with shotguns concept. Like there's a tremendous market opportunity for slaying the degenerates in a Warhammer 40K style planet purge.
Yeah.
There are tons of teens itching for an actual crusade. Deus Vult, motherfucker. Deus Vult is anti-Semitism right now.
Oh, is it?
Like there were.
I don't care. I don't care.
There were people there was like a History Channel episode or something that was talking about Deus Vult, and it's like, why are you talking about Deus Vult? You know that's what Nazis say, right? And it's like, well, it's a thing that they use to reclaim the Holy Land. Like it's just a historical event. It's not a political thing. Well, you shouldn't call it that because people might
history is
feel bad.
racist.
Yeah, history is racist, and how are you even in business? You should cancel all your racist shows like Duck Dynasty.
Is Ducks? Nah, they're probably not still going.
I'll have to see.
I saw some of Roseanne at the laundromat, and you know what?
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of cool because, so, due to the crazy fucked upness of the world, everything good, like, there is a little bit of truth in everything good is our side and everything bad is the bad people. Like, backstabbing humanity aside, most of the funny comedians are right-wing now because you can't even talk about, women, they just want to do this thing, and men are just like, I want a cheeseburger, and women are like, I don't know where I want to eat. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, well, stereotypes are the basis for most comedy.
Yeah,
possibly all of comedy.
Stereotypes are evil, so, right-wingers get all of comedy. We just get the whole thing. The only people allowed to be funny in the world. The only people that can be funny in the world now are racists. That
is 100% true. I was over at my sister's. I was running in her dogs. Mm-hmm. And while I was eating something, and then I was about to leave, they turned on some Netflix. Mm-hmm. It turned on some Pajit comedian.
Yeah.
And it was 100% social justice, to the point that he was explaining why his jokes were okay. Mm-hmm. And like explaining why it's not racist if the white people have the privilege. And it's like, oh, this is horrible.
Yeah, racism is privilege plus power. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, and it was just straight like that. He had a couple of funny bits, but in between were these like 10-minute political diatribes where people who agreed with him were just laughing uncomfortably in the audience because they're like, this is actually really boring.
Mm-hmm. I paid money for this, and I can't get away from this without being racist, can I?
Yeah. Because that was all he talked about was race.
Ha ha ha, I don't want to be the last one laughing. Ah, ha.
He was funny when he did a bit that wasn't about race or politics, and mm-hmm. I can only think of the one where it was funny. He did a God masturbating thing. And that's the one where he had to like step back and explain. And everybody's just like, you know what, this is uncomfortable, and I don't want to be here.
Yeah. And
I think that's when we switched over to some Jewish gal's show. Also not funny. And my sister and her husband were complaining about how annoying her voice was.
Mm-hmm. Bice had a good thing about this, where he was talking about the Melons had fucked up their own shit, so not even, like, they made their propaganda tools so gross that they don't even work as propaganda tools because nobody watches them anymore. Like, they're screwing their own machinery over.
Yeah, well, that's them gaslighting themselves.
Mm-hmm. But that was an explicit shift, by the way. They did that on purpose. There was an entire conversation about, look, man, the point of comedy is not to say uncomfortable things and push boundaries. The point of comedy is to enforce the status quo and advocate for trans rights, and to solidify our control over the social compact or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Fox is absolutely right about disrupting that stuff.
And that's how Amy Schumer was born.
Oof. I don't want to think about Amy Schumer being born.
Okay.
In any case.
Zero argument for me there.
Yeah, it was...
So the solution to all of these problems is for me to finish my coding thing and get a job, and to work on my own life. And to not wait around for some other asshole to fix it for me.
basically true. And that doesn't mean that you have to be entirely ignorant of the world around you at the same time. Doesn't mean you don't have to be. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be woke.
Yeah, like talking about shit gets you through the day, but if you get to the point where you're so black-pilled that you don't want to do anything, then the communists win. Like if you're staying informed is actually being an excuse for inaction, then it's hurting you. But if it's something you laugh about so you can get through your workday, then it's good.
And you know what? It's worse than that with the black pill only folks. It's like if you aren't even willing to work when it's hard, it's like you aren't worthy of the country of your ancestors to begin with. They wouldn't have one of you. So spare me your Nordicism.
And the weird thing is that it's a lot easier than you would think. Like you were talking about the one guy that disarmed every fucking guard and was like, "Come on, we're getting out of here." Yeah. It's not as hard to push back as you think. Like you get in your hole and you think the world is hopeless, but really everybody is believing the same thing. So the first person that is like, "You know what? Fuck it, I'm in charge, get out of the way." They're like, "Well, we can't fight that guy. He says he's in charge." You know what I mean? we okay, sir.
And then that other guy said, Wait just a minute, you aren't in charge. And then he punched that guy one time in the face.
One time. Anybody else think I'm not in charge?
Afraid.
Oh, excuse me. You know what? I think that it's really good. This change in leadership, this new management is just doing really. Everybody, a round of applause for the new guy in charge. Like you're damn right.
Okay, so back to that soldier, right? What happens if he fails, right?
Well, then he gets.
He actually did fail. He gets shot. You know what? That's like a billion times better than going into the gulag and dying slowly of starvation and cold.
Well, it's like you end up
knowing
in
that you could have gotten
anyway.
out. Knowing you could have done something. Also, the thesis of Solzhenitsyn. He had many theses.
Like so living another 6 months in a torture chamber versus making a run for it and having the chance for freedom. Most people will live for 6 months and hope they don't die, even though they're pretty much guaranteed to die that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that really is the choice facing us. Now, that's always been the real black pill for me, is seeing how many people actually just don't want to leave. That's when I actually start black pilling, when I retreat to my music.
Well, that's a Matrix tier thing. Is like these people have been in the system for so long that they will defend it because they're just not ready to get out of it. That's why we never free a mind above a certain age.
Yeah, the real Matrix now for right-wingers is kill yourself. It's like, I'm fine, I won't kill myself. I'll just wait to die instead. And throw rocks at anybody who tries to do anything because, haha, you're so stupid. The system is fucked. So why would you even try to? Why would you even try to do anything?
You got to be sitting poolside. That's the only smart thing to do.
Yeah, that's what smart people do.
They sit on their ass as the world goes to shit because there's no use doing anything.
Who think that there's any hope.
Oh. Like I don't have any problem with sitting it out and being a coward because that's just how people are. Like you might as well get mad that water's wet, but don't complain at people that are trying to do things, even if they're shit at it. Like you can laugh at them, but don't. How do I put it? People will interfere. They will cut those things down so that they don't have to feel bad about not being the one that does it. It's like,
well, that's the crab bucket.
If I can't save Western civilization, then no one can save Western civilization. So I won't get off my ass to help anybody, but I will get off my ass to call the cops and get you shut down. Because you disagreed with me about Fritos versus Cheetos.
You want to get me going?
Yeah.
Let's talk about moderates and calling the police. Moderates are the reason that we haven't been... Moderates are the reason that we can't solve this thing in a reasonable manner sooner rather than later.
Well, you know, it's like they say, if you have one bullet and you have an enemy in front of you and a moderate in front of you, shoot the moderate.
Absolutely right.
That's what they say. Well, you know, okay, so here's the thing. Moderates on the other side of the fence are not too bad because then you can be like, look, we're being oppressed. You should feel bad for us. They're like, yes, you know, those people that are bombing your churches are going a little too far. We should stop that. Be like, yes, thank you. Now we can bomb their churches instead.
Yes. Let's put together a little mob and go bomb their churches and burn down their mosque in retaliation.
Right.
Oh, but then the concern comes out.
And it's a hard problem because on the one hand, radicals break everything. That's kind of the point. And so
That is the point.
normies are the only people that can populate a system without destroying it. Like, you're not gonna get a feminist that thinks all sex is rape to get the husband necessary to run for office or whatever, right?
All right.
It's not necessarily that the best example, but like the super radicals are going to radical themselves to death and probably fuck everything up if you give them free reign. But normal people are just going to maintain the status quo. So like the radicals have to set up the new status quo by pushing you across the aisle. And then the normies have to just sit there and not fuck it up for a couple years.
All right. I'll tell you what I think the real problem with moderates is. Moderates draw the same lines as everybody else. They say, this is my team. This over there, the Muslim guys, that's not my team. And then they think, I have a responsibility to police the behavior of people on my side of the line.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is my group, so, it matters to me.
Yeah.
And there's also all sorts of bullshit going on, with like, I believe this and I believe this, but I actually only enforce this and I'm okay with letting the other one go. Everybody does that to some extent, the double standards thing.
Yeah.
But with moderates, the problem is that they only police the people that they're not afraid of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They only police the civilized people or semi-civilized people on their own side. And what that does, so these are the people who are like, this is a police problem. We just need to, like, end the grooming gangs, send them back.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go back.
And it's like, okay, we're going to start targeting journalists and start blowing up mosques so that they are encouraged to go back. And you're like, wait, don't do that. Just write a stern letter.
If they were actually afraid, they wouldn't do anything to stop it. Because they're just more afraid of the other than they're afraid of their own people.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be so much more of a monster than the other to actually get moderates on your side. I do not like them. They are the reason that things get out of hand. Because they will not allow a relatively civilized solution to any sort of problem. They're the reason that things get out of hand.
You can't just deport them. You have to wait until you have to sink the boats. It has to get into a crisis state when they'll be like, well, any solution is better than this crisis.
Well, it's not even that. The moderates will defend the other to the bitter end, but they'll still give in to fear first. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you have the problem where you got to sink the boats, right? Mm-hmm. They'll still be in favor of letting the boats in because you can't do anything. You can't do anything to stop bad behavior by the other guy, right? They're not us.
Yeah.
That's not who we are, literally. And then when it starts getting bad enough that you get the ultra-nationalists, then the moderates give in because they're more afraid of the ultra-nationalists than they are of the immigrants coming in, than they are of the other. And that's when you finally actually get to do something. But now you have ultra-nationalists in power,
right?
And these fucking extremists who, like, it's not a meme anymore. Like they are.
Nobody
100%.
Nobody wanted to actually drop people out of helicopters into the ocean while shooting them while laughing. Like, those people are kind of crazy, but those are the only people you'll allow to confront the problem.
Right. Because otherwise they'll call the fucking police.
Mm-hmm. It'd be much better if you could get the reasonable people to be like, we're going to drop them off outside the border, and if they resist, we'll arrest them or tie them up or shoot them if we have to, but they're not staying here, right? Something reasonable.
Give them a little care package on the way back, so they make it.
We'll give them 3 Hershey's Kisses and some saltine crackers, and we won't use the catapult. We'll just escort them out. And they're like, that's evil. How could you only give them 3 Hershey's Kisses and a saltine cracker? It's like, well, it's more than they gave us. Oh, that's rude. That's not us.
That's not full benefits and citizenship.
Yeah, so you get to the point where it's like, yeah, we're going to light a stick of dynamite in their ass and then catapult them across the border.
And
what
if
the fuck are you going to do about it? And they're like, well,
we'll do it to you.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Exactly.
I disagree with this, but the current administration is dealing with some hard things, so I don't think it's my place to talk about that. Nobody wants to play armchair general in time of war.
Yeah. No, you're right that there is a large extent to which extremists break things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right there, but I think this is the real dynamic which causes that's what makes me hate normies.
This is the weird paradox of of change type thing, where it takes a ultra-violent, insane response to have the peaceful solution even be possible. Trying the peaceful solution guarantees the ultra-violent crazy shit happening, and doing the ultra-violent crazy shit guarantees the peaceful security part.
Black pill.
If you make I don't think
Sapiens,
it's a black
not
pill.
Even once.
This is how the system works. This is how you do things. It's like
yeah, I know. I'm just black pilling and being like, why do people have to be like this? Why?
It's like the DMV is a shitty place. Here's how you fuck the system so you can actually get your card stamped in a reasonable time. You got to give them some fried chicken, and you got to imply that the boss in the place. No asking them to be nice for once in their life, or trying to chat with them about their day. That's going to get you arrested. But if you give them the fried chicken, the carrot and the stick thing, it's going to work. And you don't want to treat people that way. And it would be nice if the world was a different way, where you could just have nice, polite conversations with everybody and solve all the problems. But given that that's not the world, at least you know what to do about it, right? It's not hopeless. There's not no solution to the problem. There are just unpalatable solutions to the problem.
There you go.
And distaste for unpalatable solutions to problems is a cuck thing. That's a boomer cuck conservative mindset there.
Well, I'll have to cleanse myself of that in the rivers of German mountain.
If you're like
the German forest.
If you're standing,
I can't even remember that one.
Standing by your principles as other people curb stomp them because you don't want to get your feet bloody. That's conservatism right there.
Oh, okay. So we're not talking about me being like, I hate that this is how humanity is and how we have to act around them. You're saying
it's fine to be upset about that because
is moderatism.
It's not great. Yeah, pretty much. Like, if you won't solve the problem because you want to keep your hands clean, with the result that the rivers of blood exists, right? If you're okay with the rivers of blood as long as you personally don't get any on your nice white gloves, because that means that you're a good guy that has not sinned, and it's not your fault, that's garbage.
Or what you can do the other thing, which I complain about constantly, which is to define everything that you're doing as clean, so that you can just sort of rewrite your religion. It's like, but I could get into that. I was so okay. I'll do that real quick. I was talking to Vegiortan about this, Fox on the Discord, and he's saying, so okay, take your finding that lying is okay if it's used to harm someone that you intend to harm. That's your enemy. Then, do you see what this basically, what the implications of that are? And I said yes. That's why I don't believe in using Christianity as your civic religion, as your, what's the word, justification for the state, for state action, is because you get all these things confused, right? You get confused about like the necessities of group survival, which is effectively competing with the other groups and tribes who are trying to kill you, or it might even be something like resources, right? Like maybe there's just not enough buffalo to feed the both of you.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that. But anyway, you got all these competitive things, and what people want to do is take Christianity and be like, well, what Christianity is actually about white nationalism. It's like, no, it's not. That is not the point of it. And you see this fucking everywhere. It drives me absolutely nuts. It's like, okay, so you're going to do the thing that you have to do to survive. I'm all for that. But you're going to sacrifice Christianity itself to do that. It's like, fuck you. I will fight that to the end.
This is why we can't have nice things, you fucking assholes.
Yeah. I was a Christian before I was a white nationalist, and that's the way it's going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes down to one or the other, it won't. I hope.
Mm-hmm. Well, like the thing where God created the borders and the nations and scattered them on purpose seems to be like a pretty basic thing.
Yeah, it's nice that that's in there.
That's a good talking point. But Jesus said we must secure the future of our people in a home for white children or whatever the word thing is. I don't know that quote.
I can.
That's
never
not
remember.
good. That's not a good deal. That's
No.
reaching.
He did say, credit to Vox for pointing this one out. He did say it's not good to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, thank you. I'm glad that we're getting this whole concentric loyalties thing.
Yeah.
Where you take care of your kids before you take care of the black kids that you imported so that you could virtue signal on your Instagram.
Yeah.
At least we get that part. It's like it's not loving to bring a rapist into your home who rapes your kids.
Mm-hmm.
That was the example.
That
was the example I gave. It's like it's not loving to give the kid what is it when the babysitting job to the pedophile, right? You discriminate. You judge. Right? You might have the obligation to give charity to people in your community. That does not mean that you have more responsibility to them than the people that you have responsibility for.
Yeah. If a
That's
man can't
stupid.
take care of his own house and his own people, he's not a man, right?
And
Something
you know
like
what? There's a strong argument to be made that he's not a Christian either.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of your own first, and then you work up, right?
Mm-hmm. You don't kill your family to score points with broader society. You
don't cut your kids' dicks off for love.
No.
And you don't stab your compatriots in the back for truth.
Mm-mm. That's not what that is.
I'm in a strangling sort of mood right now. Can we talk about something fun?
Sure. I I'm not opposed to strangling, actually. That's...
Yes, we've discussed this.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I gotta get off that topic. Well, that's a fun topic, but I don't think that's quite what you're talking about.
No, it would be a very jarring transition.
Okay. What is it? I shot a gun the other day.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was my birthday. It was kind of boring.
That's true. It is.
I was not impressed, but it was fun. Like, I enjoyed it. I will tell you, the most fun I've had in any of these outings, I've been to medieval times. I've been to like this pirate show. I've been to a couple things like that. Been to the beach. Been to the waves. The most fun I had. This is a weird thing. We went. They have these timeshare programs where they'll give you tickets to any show you want in the area, as long as you come into their seminar for an hour and a half.
All right, that sounds like a cult, but go on.
So you go in, and it's like, welcome to the Wyndham Resorts. Here's our great hotel package. Just buy our points, and you can spend these points anywhere at all our resorts. You own the property. You own these options. They're magical point things that you use for any of our places. It's only $30,000 and then $1,300 a year for the rest of your life, and you can spend a whole week at a timeshare just all the time, whenever you want, once a year. And you get the hard salesy people that are lying to your face every step of the way. And that was the most fun I had in all these things, is listening to this fucking dude.
That does sound like something that would be to your taste.
Try to shit me and being like, nuh-uh. No, I ain't doing it, motherfucker.
You're just sitting there being like, fuck you the whole time. That sounds like something you would enjoy.
Yeah, so he was talking about, so they have their thing, right? It's like, you got three options. You can pay for renting a hotel and throw money into a hole. You can set your luggage on fire, or you can buy one of our things. And it's like, you wouldn't set your luggage on fire, would you? And so he tried that line. He's like, you wouldn't set your luggage on fire, right? We're just, because he did the getting to know you thing where he just asks you questions and it's an interrogation to, like, it was really fun because on the surface you're having small talk, but what's actually happening is he's looking for ways to worm himself into you. He's like, what do you care about? What pressure
Right.
points? Where are
he's
the
looking
levers?
for your insecurities.
He's really bad. This guy was really bad at finding the levers, man. He was really bad at it. And so eventually he was like, look, man, you're not going to set your luggage on fire, would you? And I was like, well, yeah, actually, that sounds like fun. He's like, you're not being serious. I was like, no. Like, I'm imagining right now taking one of our suitcases and then just building a little, wood teepee in it and roasting marshmallows. That'd be a great time. That'd be hilarious. He's like, you're not serious, you fuckers. We're going to find the people that gave you these tickets and we're going to make them pay for your shitty tickets because fuck you. And then 10 minutes later, he was like, how's your day going? Yeah, computers. We like computers. Like, right back at it.
Mm.
And it was just an amazing experience going through this fucking thing. And I still think of, like, it was hands down the most fun I've had with any of these fucking things. I don't know why. It's really weird. But, it's like, joke's on you. I've been training on saying, my whole life. You got nothing.
So I want to go back to the guns thing because I can hear the reeing when we said it wasn't, when you said that guns are boring.
Yeah, guns are boring, guys. You just put them in front of your face and they go pop a couple times. Just get some firecrackers and some shit if you're really into that thing.
All right, hold up though.
I threw poppets on the ground that was cooler than this. Okay, now that that's said, it was pretty fun actually.
Okay, what? But it's a different sort of fun, right? It's slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a satisfaction kind of fun.
It's like fishing.
Yeah, there you go. It's meditative.
Mm-hmm. Because you're sitting there and you're staring down the thing and you're like, I want to shoot the bullseye this time. And you squeeze it and you go pop. And then you adjust it again, you take a deep breath, and you just kind of like...
It's different from playing Guitar Hero.
Mm-hmm.
It's the enjoyment. I think the enjoyment comes from just the feeling of competence and the feeling of like
I want to say guns and model trains have a lot in common to them. They're both really expensive, kind of male hobbies. It's about putting these fidgety pieces together and getting your sight zeroed in and your rifle bedded and getting all the trains, nailing in all these little tacks to the train tracks. In
a different world, I can see getting into that.
You learn all the different stats about the trains/guns, the rifle length, how many cars they have, the chambering, the what they were used for historically.
Mm-hmm.
You have all different mods and upgrades to your kit and expansion packs that you can have for your things. It's like, this site has a big green dot on it instead of a small green dot. I wish my wife would let me get one of those. Damn, that's cool. That was a real thing. That was a real quote right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 100%. That happened there.
That's one that I don't really get. I've never been one to accessorize.
Mm-hmm. But no, so I was expecting it to be cooler than it was, but really it was like turning 18, where you wake up and you're like, wow, what a huge emotional milestone. I guess I'm going to go up and do my routine again.
Yeah. It's like, well, I don't want to play the lottery.
That sure meant something. But it was cool. I got a little... they got me... it was my first time doing this kind of stuff, so they got me in. They had somebody be like, so this is a gun, this is the safety, this is the slide, this is like...
Oh, so this really was your first time?
Yeah. Like, I knew a lot of this stuff, but I wanted to go through them from the beginning and get the fundamentals down. Because
absolutely.
The thing I like about guns is it's one of those fields where if you're really careful and there are places, like, I like improvising and I like humor and cook, like in cooking I improvise and I do random shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with guns it's one of those things where, look, here are
you
the rules.
You just follow the directions, and there are like 4 of them.
There are very simple things. You always put your finger here, you keep the gun down range, you make sure it's like... You always see in the gun videos, they click it a couple of times to make sure there are no bullets, and they take the thing out, then they still lay it away from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you do the things that you're supposed to do, bad things stop happening to you. Like, you just don't get into accidents, right? Like, this is with weightlifting, too. With, like, weightlifting, you get a routine, you work on your form. If you do the form right and don't be stupid, it works.
You make your gains.
You get results. And it's very easy to do that. So that's what happened. It's like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, you point out, you aim the sights, you squeeze the trigger slowly, and boom, the bullseye. There you go.
And you get up at the same time and go to bed at the same time every day, and they make you stand in line. It's a perfect world.
Right. So, like, not everything in life needs to be that way, but some things in life you really need to get your routine set down. Like, it's the foundation of healthy living is to have good habits. And habits are just rules that you follow all the time for no reason.
Absolutely.
They're just things that you do because if you don't do them, bad things happen. You don't have to think about them. You don't have to know why. You don't have to launch scientific studies to figure out why pointing your gun at people is a bad idea. You just don't fucking do it, and bad things don't happen. And then these other people, it's like, yeah, I did 300 squats with 800 pounds, and I just did negatives, and my thighs ripped off of my legs. My muscles just popped, and I don't have ligaments anymore, and I don't know what happened. I was ripping 4 plates off of one side of the bar because I always used to do that when I had lightweight, and suddenly the bar flipped off and beamed me in the face, and I lost both my front teeth. And it's like, well, that's why you should just push a plate off of each side when you're unloading your bar. Just take a plate off of this one, then a plate off of that one. You just have to walk back and forth. Yeah, but that's boring, dog. You just pull them all out because you're ripped.
So if I'm not allowed to point my gun at other people, how am I going to know if my friends are lacking? That's what I want to know.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
How do I know if my friends are real niggas?
I guess you'll just have to spray shaving cream on their face when they're asleep like normal people.
Oh, okay.
It'd be like, joke's on you, you fell asleep.
I always hated that.
You let your
Sleep
guard
is like
down
sacred
around your own friends, even for a damn second. Ha ha! What a fool! I don't like that prank stuff. There are some jokes I like, and there are some little practical jokes that might be funny. But you let your guard down and trusted yourself around your own friends for 5 minutes, you're fucked. Like,
yeah.
I know there's something about hazing and like, you pinch my nipple, I punch your nipple, now we're bros. But I don't like it.
Sorry, that was the pinching nipples kind of got me in a weird place there, but it's like ribbing, right?
Yeah.
So I mentioned before I never really understood ribbing, although I probably did it. I've always called my friends gay, so maybe I did understand it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I just like draw the line a lot closer than most people do. Yeah. I'm not really sure what the deal is there. The messing with people while they're asleep thing, I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, like,
I get that it's kind of funny, but it's not funny enough to be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Well, the ribbing thing is kind of psychopath testing. If you wanted to, put it on a pedestal and describe it in the best way, like poking people with some light humor to see how they react is a good way of flushing out really weird people.
Oh, okay. So it's sort of like applying pressure to see where somebody's fracture lines are.
Yeah. So, like, one thing I read is that psychopaths have, like, no humor about themselves. They cannot take a joke that is directed at them. So if you make a joke that everybody laughs at and everybody normally has a good time about, and one guy's like, ha ha ha, yeah, let me give you a friendly noogie, and starts actually hurting somebody that told the joke, you're like, whoa, dude, hold on, we were just having a good time. Yeah, I'm having a good time. And then you know not to mess with that guy with anything serious.
Right.
I always figured that was the point of hazing people in the army and stuff. Is like you put people through hell in a controlled environment so you know how they react to crisis situations.
I think with the army it goes a lot deeper than that. Like they are really good at doing what they do. Mm-hmm. In terms of like producing the psychology that they want.
Yeah.
And that's I think that a lot of that is from thousands of years of practice.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's as old as getting into a gang and hitting each other with bricks to be part of the crew. If
is that real?
If the Saints Row video game taught me anything, it's that you have to have a fist fight before you're part of a thug group. And if that's real life, if that's not real life, then GTA lied to me.
I don't know. I've never joined any gangs.
I haven't either.
I haven't even joined any fight clubs. I had a couple of friends that were gonna start one. It was gonna be fun. I was gonna join that, but it fizzled. Mm-hmm. Which is probably for the best. First of all, those guys were way bigger than me, and absolutely insane. One of them's a tranny now, actually, so legit insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think it would have been kind of fun. That was the group of friends that we would get the PVC pipes and duct tape insulating foam to, not insulating foam, just foam.
Yeah.
To a sword fight.
You make the practice swords. See, that always was fun.
Oh, that was good times. What you learn, first of all, the most important thing that you learn is that when your fingers are on there, that's a very vulnerable position for your fingers.
Don't get hit on your hands.
Oh.
That sucks.
You won't be able to sword fight again for a week. It depends how hard you get hit, but we had some nice welts from that.
But learning how to whop people with sticks is like a crucial boy thing. More people should do that. Like every kid, when they're young, they're like, let's get some sticks and hit people with it. You know what I mean? It's just an inborn natural desire. It's the most
obvious thing in the world.
Like, Zelda was based on that fundamental thing. He's like, when I was a kid, what I'd do was go out into the garden and swack at grass with a stick and pretend I was cutting people out. Let's just cut shit with swords. Let's cut grass with swords like we're going in the backyard in the garden. Except there's actual goblins there. Yeah.
No wonder he cut so much grass in that game.
Yeah. That was Miyamoto's thing. That's why that was his inspiration for Zelda, was like going out into the going out into the backyard as a kid and slicing up overgrown grass and adventuring.
My dad used to send us at particular paths, like patches where he wanted them cleared. he eventually stopped fighting it. It's like,
well,
we kept them away from the Pokemans, but these kids are fucking weird. I'm not gonna, like, they're always in the backyard sword fighting. I'm just gonna send them. Like, I'm going to channel that.
I got some dandelions over there. Y'all get those guys. They're monsters or some shit. I don't know. Kids these days. When I was young, we just drive around in our car that we learned to drive at 14 and shoot turtles on the side of the road. With the
so
guns.
Here, I'm going to give you fatherhood in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
One time, so in my family, we did this thing where you had your regular garbage, and then you had burn trash. Because we had a fire pit.
Mm-hmm.
No. This was proper country living. So you don't want to spend all that money with the extra garbage. So you burn some of it.
Mm-hmm.
One time, our burn trash got a little out of hand. And we set the yard on fire. So my dad comes out and he's like, you know what? I was planning to clear this area anyway. Let's direct this thing. And so we ended up doing a controlled burn for about a third of the backyard through some of the weeds back there, because that was farther back in the yard. We ended up turning it into a 1 hour controlled burn where we just had buckets of water and we just made sure it went where we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That's what being a dad is.
Mm-hmm. I can see it. I was planning to set this yard on fire anyway. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just make sure it doesn't get out of hand.
Let's just make this constructive.
Mm-hmm. Let's see how we can make this thing, a learning experience for you guys. You're winning, son. That's
that day,
pretty good.
That way, we defeated the opposing army.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't swing a single sword. We just burned them out of their homes. I was able to imagine the wailing women and children at the time. It was a beautiful day.
It's harnessing the dragon of chaos to mow your lawn.
Yeah, pretty much.
As Jordan Peterson would say.
There was also a creek back there forming like a really nice barrier that we were able to run the fire up into, so it wasn't really dangerous.
There's something about creeks on country properties. You just end up having one.
It's an absolute necessity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you didn't get that from Calvin and Hobbes, I don't know why you would read it.
Man.
You need creeks and you need mud next to those creeks. That's very important.
And you need hills that you can throw a toboggan off of.
Well, our hill wasn't that great, but you can...
We're going to make snowy hills great again.
Yes, it's very implicit.
Mushka. We're going to mushka.
What's mushka?
Make snowy hills great again, dude. My dude.
Oh, right.
That fit on a ball cap. Don't try this at home, people. Don't actually fit that in a ball cap. Mushka is not a good slogan, just so you know.
No, it's... I'm wondering, we've been 2 hours
Oh,
since
yeah.
starting the call back up, do we keep going? Like,
I'm pretty sure we can call this podcast a podcast. If you've made it this far, you are a true thal. You'll get your certificate in the mail. You just have
actually,
to...
if you want to be an owl melon, just mark that. There's an optional checkbox.
Oh, yeah. If you want to be an owl melon, if you want to be a dual back like Jesus was, there's a checkbox for that. That's an extra $50 though.
Dual back like Jesus.
Yeah.
If you're Consuemo and you want to be triple front and dual back,
you know, if you want
you're gonna have to write that in the comment part.
If you want to be a 5-head, we've got stuff for that, but that's a little bit more involved. You're gonna have to. There's like 2 forms and a checklist. We give you a test.
Mm-hmm.
We give you the answers to the test, but we still give you a test so that you can say you were tested for it.
Right. And remember, the important thing is what you identify as.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we were trying to end. I don't know how we even got off on that.
Yeah, well, in conclusion, we've gone on for a long time. We've talked about real stuff. We've talked about shitty things. We've got... Oh, I forgot to say, I actually did a pretty okay shot group for my start thing. I hit the target all the time. And I hit the center of the target most of the time, so...
Was this a pistol?
Yeah, it was a dinky little 22 that was their starter thing. The guy's like, what you really need is this 9mm that you can actually fit all of your fingers onto the grip for.
Yeah, that is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, next time I might do that. Next time I have $40 and a weekend off, I'm going to head back in.
Did he teach you all about how to like hold your hand and how to stand and all that stuff?
Yeah, a little bit of that. And I was like, people really get their thumbs sliced off from holding the gun and shooting it? And he's like, you'd be surprised. People get that all the time. And so I
wasn't aware of that, but I'm good at following directions.
Yeah, if you have your thumb too high up, the slide pulls back and that corner slices you off. And I was like, well, that's never a problem for me. I was already ready to avoid the moving parts. That's just core to my being is... Don't get sliced by moving parts of things. I could predict that action. But so my
quick funny story about that. A gal, there is a manager at a McDonald's one time.
Mm-hmm.
Told me like there are no rules or rules are made to be broken or something like that. And so being an asshole, I said, yeah, well, how about keep your hands away from the moving parts? And she tried to come up with something. It's like.
No, I'm not wrong.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with that one. Mm-hmm. You do you.
Don't step in front of a moving vehicle.
Yeah. No, especially if they're on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you have the fucking right of way. This is Michigan. we take
you.
care of that problem. Dude, people are psychopaths up here on the road. Holy shit.
Well, I have to be in front. Is the battle cry of a generation. But anyway, so the sliding was a thing. And I was like, people have that thing? And so my woman took me to the shooting guns as a birthday present. And then,
nice.
Yeah, and she saw some guns too. And then after we go out, she's like, yeah, I cut my thumb on the thing. I was like, what do you mean? Well, the slide pulled back, and I guess my thumb was a little bit too far up. And I was like, oh, that really does happen, huh?
That's why you follow the directions.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Have you told her about the gospel of autism?
I'm not sure which chapter of that specifically.
Follow the directions as written, and wow, the thing works.
Oh yeah. She's aware of that one. Okay. I may have said that once or twice.
Good. That's.
I have a rule.
What would you say? 99% of life is finding the right directions and then following them?
Yeah, like I have a rule that plastic bags and, kitchen utensils can't go on the burners even if they're off. And you can't, leave them in the pan when it's on. And then I have one where, all the knives cannot be in the sink. They have to be in the side of the sink.
Yeah, there you go.
And those work
I don't
really
even
well.
like having knives in the sink, but that's from working in kitchens.
Yeah, you don't put them in the sink at all. You hand wash them one by one. And you don't leave them down in the sink. You leave them on the counter somewhere close by.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of stuff is really nice. It's very simple, and problems magically don't happen to you. It's like lifting carefully. Like you just don't get lifting injuries if you're careful about it. And if you're not, if you go macho, you're like, yeah, I lifted so hard, I lifted this super huge thing, and now I'm out for 3 months because I pulled my hickey. And it's like, well, that's good. Well, how much can you lift now? Nothing. I have to sit in a chair for 3 months because I fucked myself up kind of bad. It's like, well, that's pretty macho, man. You're sure lifting, man. I feel bad about lifting like 40 pounds lighter than you. And taking much longer to do my shit, you know. Maybe when you get back, you'll be lifting as much as I did 3 months ago.
Yeah, you know what you're talking about here is white privilege.
Yeah, it really is. The ability to follow directions and have bad things not happen to you from being retarded. It's just... That's that fucking white man creating those oppressive structures, like math.
These institutions.
The scientific method.
You didn't build that. You stole that from Egypt.
Yeah, we was kings. I want to do a thing where white people are actually black people. I want to do one where all white people are actually secretly black people, so they need to register as that for affirmative action. If you look at the genes, the genetics or something.
Oh, okay. So, see, that's the sort of thing that's fun to think about, but you know how that's going to go.
Yeah. Well, it's like, well, technically, you know, light-skinned black people have more privilege than dark-skinned black people. So on the skinometer, you're way too white, so you still get fucked because it wasn't about the rules; it was about fucking you over to begin with. Blah.
It wouldn't even get that far. It would race isn't a construct except when it is.
Yeah.
That's how that game works.
But anyway, so if you kill your enemies, they die. That's my stance on it.
Oh man. That's radical. And
I would never in a million years advocate for shooting journalists. You can quote me on that one. Do not shoot journalists. Do not get your name in the news for killing a journalist. It doesn't matter how shitty they are. It's not worth it. Wink. But I didn't. I winked sincerely.
Yeah, but...
Yeah. By winking, I mean this is a serious thing and you should not do that thing.
Right. By that we mean if you were to do that in Minecraft.
Hypothetically in Minecraft. If
I still like that meme.
If you were playing cops and robbers, then you better get away.
And if you need a spot to stay for the night, I'm saying, like, you know, your character in Minecraft.
I'll let your character stay at the inn in my town in our RP server. We're just role playing here.
Oh no! In your RuneScape or whatever.
In the RuneScape.
Hey, let's talk about degeneracy for a minute.
Let's talk about RuneScape. Are you saying RuneScape is degenerate?
I don't know. All I know is that my sister played it.
So it is for girls.
That's why I came to that conclusion. It was I examined everything from the very beginning assumptions, and then I just decided, well, my sister played it, so it's for girls.
Boneflower was right again. It's that compass that points true north, all that stuff. Okay. So, having discovered that guns are boring like model trains, and RuneScape is for girls.
Another caveat. I shot trap, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that'd be
shotguns
cool.
are fun.
Yeah, shotguns shooting discs in the sky. That's basically a video game in real life. I could see how that'd be fun.
And you know what? People talk a bunch about how there's so much kick and it hurts your shoulder and all that. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It's like the kick from a .22, except maybe twice that, and that's not really that much.
No. It was funny because like the thing itself didn't bug me. But, so I have the cat reflex thing where there's a loud noise or somebody hits something or somebody drops a dish on the floor. Like, if a dish shatters on the floor and you're not expecting it, you're like, whoa, wait a second. Oh, okay. Somebody was just dumb in the kitchen. And then so I was sitting there talking to the guy and suddenly, pow! And I was like, what the fuck? Did my gun go off? Oh no, somebody's shooting over there. Okay. Pow! Oh, fuck. I really need to be able to predict those. Pow! You know what? This is dumb. This is just an expected thing. I'm going to get used to it now.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say.
That was the hardest thing about that, is that I'm used to controlling my own audio environment so that unexpected noise doesn't quite show up on me. So it's surprising when it does.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably keep a much quieter environment than most people.
Yes, probably.
Like, how much music do you even listen to?
I'm
just guessing based on myself.
I listen to a little bit of music. I used to listen to more, but now I'm doing other things. Every now and then I'll get in the mood and I'll stream, some greatest hits for a few hours. But normally, it's pretty peaceful. It's like a library in here, I'd say.
Yeah. See, prediction justified.
I
think I'm running out of steam.
That's that triple back truth all genes right there.
That's true.
I'm trying to do the in conclusion, and then it's like, you know what? Let's talk about one of the in conclusion things.
Wait, shotguns though.
But shotguns are actually pretty good. If you want to, I know you're just saying the last thing to be a jokey in conclusion thing, but we need to talk about this thing right here.
I'm just saying that we need to make sure we cover all of our edge cases before we end the program.
Okay.
On every topic that we cover.
Every topic forever needs to be thoroughly discussed before we can say goodnight, everybody.
And by the end, we'll finally have our Prisca Sapientia be covered. We won't have to make judgments anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the knowledge will be already inside us, so there'll be no need to learn new things. We'll just synthesize it from our first principles.
Yes. And I know many people are already there. I apologize. We aren't there yet with you.
Your Prisca Sapientia certificates are in the mail too. Those are like 50 cents postage, so you just might have to, hit our cash tag for 50 cents.
All right.
I'm gonna have to link that. I'm gonna have to link that in the video. Yeah. So
which one?
It's been good. We will have cash tags in the description if you want to shower us with delicious bigot dollars. And then we can start making you famous. Anybody that donates here can have a message, and they'll be automatic triple backs and famous at the same time.
All of your donations go to milk, which we drink in front of black children.
Starving Ethiopian children in Africa, we drink the milk in front of them. Because it's just better that way?
There's something about the taste.
Yeah. Like French fries taste better when they're from the other person's plate. Milk just tastes better when you're drinking it in front of a starving African child that nobody actually cares about.
Oh no. He gave the joke away.
Except for bigot dollars, who cares very much so that we employ a full-time staff to cry about it all the time.
Right. It's like carbon credits.
Yeah.
Oh shit, it is like carbon credits.
That's what I'm saying. It's a cruelty offset.
So only the rich can be cruel. But it's okay. Put the money back into the charity run by the rich person.
It's an endless cycle of money.
I'm trying to figure out how you could get a perpetual motion machine out of that.
Well, you don't have a perpetual motion machine. What you have is, one of those, in the mall where it's like donate to charity and put your penny in this spirally thing and it circles down into the drain.
Those things are awesome.
Yeah, those are cool, right? You're like, yeah, I'll put 25 cents to watch my money fall into the toilet, and then they get your money.
And then you try to grab it when it's like doing the extra spinny at the bottom, but you never get it. You never catch it.
So that's what nonprofits are. They're taking other people's money and giving them the experience of watching it circle down the drain.
Okay.
So I'm having a premium money down the drain experience by watching all these people cry about these important topics. That's the idea.
Okay, can we we be done now? I'm tired.
This is officially done. We've kept him here like a concentration camp for this podcast, and we are now letting Aeoli go. Except we're just letting him go into a shallow grave because bigot dollars. TM.
Oh man.
Have a good night.
Dark.
The recording is stopped.